It looks like the fanatical side of the light is still happening. It's not all sunshine and roses. New 10.2.5 quests show the Scarlet Crusade turning into gigantic light monstrosities and proclaiming that the light will purge our stain from the world, but it also hints that they will return in midnight. It seems like the light will split into the good and the fanatical side. We could see the Scarlet Crusade facilitating the light invasion by getting Yrel and potentially these new Arathi humans that could be their allies, because remember, Avaloren, which could be the new kingdom, and the Scarlet Crusade New Avalon. There could actually be a connection. Even more interestingly, Lothraxxion is still an agent of Denatrius. He could be creating this divide, which will in turn weaken the light, the void, and us all in one go as all-out conflict breaks out in midnight. So what is all this new info and what is even going on? Nothing can ruin your game like bad lag, but LegoFest, this video sponsor, is the perfect solution. Not only can you improve your ping and FPS in WoW, but it also offers you the best add-ons to use for Season of Discovery, and the app is compatible with PC and consoles and a whole bunch of games. Check out LegoFest completely free with my link below. So 10.2.5 is out and we have some incredibly interesting new information that seems 100% like a setup for midnight and the big light versus void battle that might even start out in the War Within. So Reclamation of Gilneas is finally out. Previously I've talked about this, we could only data mine it, but now all the encrypted parts are out, so a lot of things have been cleared up and we know what is going on, and long story short, it's not really all that crazy. I mean, it is quite short, and unfortunately it looks like Gilneas is neutral, which in my opinion is a real shame. I mean, I understand the entire faction conflict stuff, but Gilneas was like the one zone I would not make neutral because of its history. Regardless, in the midst of this, we got a pretty big light hint for the light invasion speculation we've had for the past like 8 years. Now, the Scarlet Crusade has been surprisingly used quite a bit all throughout Dragonflight, not just with the story, but we also had a lot of their motives and their armor sets everywhere these past like 2 years. Unfortunately, most of it was just one-dimensional fodder type use, but the new hints from 10.2.5 makes it seem like this is only a setup and that this is not their actual ultimate goal. So what I find confusing is how the hell did a Scarlet Crusade that was small to begin with and destroyed like a dozen times in the past manage to invade like the entirety of the northern eastern kingdoms, and it seems like the answer could be in the light. I mean, first they launched a pretty big invasion of Forsaken that we played through and we've dealt with the main part of the force. However, it appears from this new questline that when the Forsaken troops withdrew from Gilneas, as Kelly promised back at the end of Shadowlands, to again before the 3-year time skip, at that point the Scarlet Crusade had settled in the remains of the fallen human kingdom. How this happened hasn't exactly been explained. I mean, to me it doesn't really make all that much sense how they just passed down through all this territory, no one noticed them amassing, and the Vorgen specifically didn't stop them before they made a stronghold, but that isn't really the point of the video. As I said, the Scarlet Crusade here is just fodder, an element to create some type of adversity that is not faction conflict, but the real info is, as I said, in the new light hints that is foreshadowing for the World Soul Saga. So the leader of the Gilneas expedition is called the Inquisitor of Fairbell, and this little line seemed like such a huge foreshadowing. Her actual description says she is the leader in Gilneas, and then it says this probably won't be the last we see of the Crusade. However, the real deal is when we actually face her, we fight her, and just as we're about to defeat her, she transforms into a massive light elemental monstrosity called the Hallowed Monstrosity, which is not actually something the light tends to do, and she says the light will purge your infectious stain from this world. Now, you might think this is just Scarlet Crusade, like fanatic jargon, and that this is minor, but let me tell you why I don't think this is the case. First of all, we got a lot of other light setup hints that come together with this. We have the confirmed involvement of the light in the battle against the void in midnight, as Chris Matson said, which is, as suggested, going to be like the final battle of these two forces. We also have the entire storyline that is going to happen in the War Within with those light fanatical Arathi humans, the Light Crystal, and their undiscovered kingdom, whose main capital may be on Avaloren, and surprisingly, the Scarlet Crusade settlement is called New Avalon. Finally, we know that the Void invasion is going to happen through the Sunwell, which is essentially powered by a Light Naru, and the Light and the Void, as we know, are intrinsically connected. However, you may be thinking like, where does the Scarlet Crusade fit in here? My personal guess is that we are going to discover two sides of the light, the good and the bad. Previously, at the start of the World of Warcraft, the light was like this amazing force. Then it got super gray and maybe even black. We thought it was just as evil as the void. And then recently, Chris Metzen said how we will fight with the forces with light, making them seem good again. But I think the answer is in the middle. I think there are two sides of it. There is the side that resurrects, that heals and even defeats the Lich King, and then there is the side that tries to take over Illidan by force, that invaded the Shadowlands, that might have even attacked Azeroth with a shot in Castlegar. As I said, that could be a remnant of a Naru invasion. You may also remember the #1 light bad force, and that is Yrel and her fanatical light army that essentially took over the entire planet of alternate Draenor. They enslaved everyone and drove it to near destruction. That, as far as we know, there is just a light army waiting behind the portal to invade as their world is falling apart. Now, the recent transformation of the Inquisitor shows us that they're wielding this bad side of the light, the fanatical one, as is obviously natural for the Scarlet Crusade. She transforms into a monstrosity, a giant offensive light being, and as she proclaims, the light will purge our stain from the world, with very similar wording to how the Titans had stained the world, how the old gods have stained the world, as in light also lays the claim on Azeroth. The wording here is critical when you look at it. My guess is that the Scarlet Crusade is not going to be some major force in Midnight, and that all these actions have been a part of a grand plan involving the light. I kinda see them as Kel'Thuzad did his mission back in Warcraft 3 to like set the ground up to get the powers in order to lay the foundation for the Legion invasion, as Kel'Thuzad did. I think the Scarlet Crusade is dabbling in these types of powers. They want to open the evil light portal and to let light cleanse this world. I would say they mainly failed in securing the territory, but some parts still remain regardless. Now, let's look at a few really interesting hints. We still don't know if the new light humans are good or bad in Khazlagar, but we know for certain they're light fanatics. Blizzard actually called them the Uber Paladins. They came from an undiscovered human kingdom that used to be a part of Arathi Empire, and they're possibly on Avaloren, the land we're yet to see, and they landed in Khazlagar as they heard about the falling star. Personally, I think the star could be a sign of a light invasion of Azeroth, especially as it is so close to the heart of Azeroth, and these guys might have come here to support the invasion, but the invasion kind of failed and now they're stuck in this zone. Now, what is really interesting, and keep in mind this could entirely be a coincidence, but the Scarlet Crusade has their main city, New Avalon, and the other zone is called Avaloren. Avaloren is, as was said by the documents, somewhere across the sea. It could be east of the Eastern Kingdoms, it could be west of Kalimdor, but what I also find intriguing is that New Avalon is also next to a shore. What is interesting is that the Scarlet Crusade are light fanatics. The new Arathi humans we learned about are also light fanatics. Could they start working together? Had they worked together already and maybe even gave these powers to the Scarlet Crusade? I don't know, it could 100% actually be a coincidence, but it could be a very interesting story point. If the light humans turn out to be bad, they could use the Scarlet Crusade as like a link on the continent to invade the Eastern Kingdoms, and then they would be the main force, these new humans, as well as the alternate Draenor fanatics led by Yrel in the Army of the Light. Another interesting hint we always have is those old Scarlet Crusade pamphlets. Remember, they apparently have the child of Kalia Manatil, and Kalia Manatil is like this weird light undead that could also be a connection to this entire thing. Now, don't get me wrong, all of these are kind of scattered hints all over the place. I don't think the light is going to be as bad as the void and the void invasion, but what I could see happening is this. The light despises, like they absolutely despises the void, so when this straight out invasion happens of the void, the fanatics may decide to invade as well, but they're so fanatical that they don't care about us or Azeroth. They just want to get rid of the void, they want to wipe them out, kind of similar to Titans and their order. Then the good side of the light is going to come through Kalia Manatil, maybe Turelian, and we're going to team up like with this side to defeat both the void and the light fanatics, and a big split could be happening here. Furthermore, they have been setting things up with the Crusade and the Worgen and the Undead. The Worgen and the Undead are, by the Scarlet Crusade standards, monsters, unnatural, people that need to be purged, but now they're kind of friendly. They teamed up, they got their territories back, they're building back up, they're going to build almost completely by midnight. Now this could be a stretch, but I could totally see this happening as Blizzard just loves these like cheesy feel-good storylines. So imagine Light Kalia leading these imperfect monsters on the good side of the light, while the pure light fanatics are on the opposite side. They want to destroy everything. The sort of light is like what we want it to be, not the predatory cosmological force that it is. Furthermore, another interesting possibility is that we still have Lothraxxion. Remember, back in Shadowlands, we learned that Athrea's got a really good integrated light agent, which is almost certainly Lothraxxion. I mean, the guy literally became a light being. I could totally 100% see this guy leading this fanatical side, and it even fits perfectly with the Scarlet Crusade. I mean, remember how a Dreadlord before took over them, which is what turned them into such an evil force? Well, I could see Lothraxxion creating a divide here with the light in order to weaken both the light, us, and the void in this scenario, and to empower his master. I mean, it is exactly what a Dreadlord would do. Now, of course, it's too early to say, but it does seem like the Scarlet Crusade storyline here is just a setup, and that they still got a role to play on this continent in WoW Midnight. Thank you for watching. Check out the upcoming hero specs by clicking on the screen, and check out my video on ancient Greek colonies in Spain by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.